So, there's a lot of bad writing advice out there, and I'm going to be covering a lot more of that in another video. But in this video, I'm only planning to cover the single worst writing advice I've ever heard. This is the bad writing advice that is supposed to be the best writing advice, and it has stopped more writers than pretty much anything else. Stay tuned to find out what that is. Hi novelteers, I'm Devlin Blake, novel writing and self-publishing expert, coach, published author, and former ghostwriter of over 200 books. If you'd like to work with me, check out my links in the description. So what is the worst writing advice ever? Well, it's so common that even Stephen King has said it. And even though, King, I love your work, you're wrong on this. So what is the worst writing advice? It's butt in seat, meaning put your butt in the seat and write. And that is horrible writing advice. It's been said many different ways, but that's usually what it's called. And while it's true that's how professional writers like King do it, and how it's true that I did it that way back when I was a ghostwriter, it's really awful advice. Here's why. A professional writer has a deadline, or in my case, a client. They didn't hire someone who's writing their first book. They hired someone who knew what they were doing and has a few books under their belt already. But your first book? Your very first book? This writing advice is going to derail you more than any other bit of writing advice ever will. That's why it gets its own video. Because once you get a few books under your belt, you know the process. You know how books work. But you don't know that yet. You don't know the process. So you need to expect writing your first book to go slow. You need to expect to get stuck in a few places. And when you do, instead of trying to force yourself through that block, you need to go do something else. Anything else. Something mindless. Go do the dishes. Go for a walk. Go take a shower. Go for a drive. It's these sorts of mindless activities that actually get your mind thinking. So just think about your book. Don't try to force it, but just think about it. Don't think about the fact you're stuck. Think about what happens next. Think about what's going to happen when your character does this thing you're going to have them do. It's going to make a lot of problems for your character, even though your character thinks this is going to solve all their problems. Of course, we know it's not. It can't. The book would be over if it did. Keep thinking about it as you go about your life, and the answer will come. I promise. Sometimes it's going to take a few days, not instant, and that's okay. Now, there are people who claim you can get inspiration on demand, and you can, after you've trained yourself to do it. I've actually got more ideas on how to break through writer's block in my Novel Writers Club. But training yourself to get inspired is like taking a puppy to obedience school. The puppy isn't going to do it perfectly the first few times, but after a point, that puppy will come when you call. And when you're more experienced at writing books, inspiration is going to come when you call it too. Until then, you just have to be patient and let the inspiration come to you, just like a puppy. And remember to reward inspiration when it shows up. Again, just like you would a puppy, because if you don't keep rewarding a puppy, it's not going to keep coming. And if you don't keep rewarding inspiration, it's not going to keep coming either. So what is a reward for inspiration? It's not ice cream. That's a reward for you. Reward for inspiration is to write down all your great ideas. This is what lets the inspiration know it wasn't wasting its time showing up. Try this, and you'll see it makes all the difference in your book. And if you'd like to know more about working with me, either one-on-one or in a group setting, feel free to check out the links below. This is Devlin Blake, saying right on.